Hi kids, welcome back. What we're going to be talking about today is where you get your information from and whether or not to believe it or not. And this is a really, really big thing, particularly with what's going on. I know a lot of you guys have missed out on school recently. There's a lot of talk. If you guys or your parents watch the news, I personally don't. I don't actually even own a TV. But if you're watching the news, you'll be getting information from different sites and different areas, talking about different things as to what's happening, why it's happening. You'll probably get similar things at school. Like you'll go to school, your teachers will tell you one thing, and then someone else will tell you something different. And you're probably stuck there thinking, well, what's right and what's wrong. And I personally struggle a lot with school. I don't like school. I don't like how the institution is set up. I don't like that you're sent there and told that certain things are right and certain things are wrong, because it's just not my opinion. Even when you look at things as simple as 1 plus 1, right? Equals, most people would say 2. That would be the general answer. But you'll see that so often in life and nature and wherever you look, this is just purely not true. If I say 1 finger plus 1 finger equals 2 fingers, that's very, very true. If I say 1 texter plus 1 texter equals 2, that's true. The thing is though, this text is 2 and 1. So does 1 plus 1 actually equal 3 in this case? Maybe it does, because I've got 2 blacks now and I've got an orange as well. So does that mean there's 3 or does that mean there's only 2? If you look at families, or if you, let's take a plant, right? For example, if you get 1 seed, right? 1 seed from a plant and put it in the soil, you've still only got 1 seed, but from that seed, how many things come, right? So that would be saying like 1 equals, this is like infinite, right? And it could be because you get from that 1 seed, you have a plant, and then from that plant, how many pieces of fruit do you have? And how many seeds are in those fruits? How much could that equal up to? So this idea that there's always this right and wrong and there's only one answer, I don't personally agree with it. You might. From my life experience, I've found that there's always more than one answer. And there's always a lot of different ways that you can look at a situation. So another one that I find really interesting, and there's an image for this, I probably won't put it over this video. I might use it as the heading of this video. But if you look at this shape, right, from that side there, now what shape does that look like? That would look like a rectangle, correct? If you've got the side going up there, you've got the side across, you've got the side down. So if you're looking at that from that perspective, and you're saying that's a rectangle, that's what it is, and it cannot be anything else, that means the only thing this could possibly be is a rectangle. But if you change the way you look at it, and you start looking at that from this angle, what is it now? It's a circle, right? So we've gone from looking at something like this that is definitely a rectangle to go changing the perspective, changing the way we look at it, and now it's a circle. So which one's right? Is it a rectangle? Is it a circle? Is it both? Is it neither? Is it something completely different? You might be getting a little bit confused. You're like, what's the point? What's he talking about? I don't want you to, the simple thing I want you to sort of understand from this is that one person telling you something, so if you've got a teacher at school telling you that 1 plus 1 equals 2, that's what they're taught. So their perspective is possibly that. So they're saying it's a rectangle because it's got 2 longer sides and then 2 shorter sides. That means it's a rectangle. That's what they're taught. But then if you change your perspective and someone else says, well, maybe it's a circle. Maybe 1 plus 1 doesn't always have to equal 2. Maybe it can equal something different. Maybe if you put 2 people together in a relationship, they combine together and they can create more people. So 1 plus 1, does it still equal 2 people, or does that mean that there's more people? Like your parents. You look at your parents, they're just 2 people, but you came from your parents. So does 1 plus 1 equal 2, or could it equal more? Depends on the perspective that you choose to take, right? So when you're getting information from people, what I want you to do is even anything I'm telling you, I never want you to just accept it and say, oh, that's the way it must be. Never, ever, ever do that. What I want you to do and say, does that make sense for me? Does that make sense for me and what I believe? And then if you're not sure, the best thing to do is to actually go and try the information. Try it. See if you can find evidence of it. See if you can find evidence of 1 plus 1 equaling 2. Cool. Beautiful. So maybe it is a rectangle. See if you can find evidence of 1 plus 1 equaling more than 2 or less than 2. And maybe it's a circle. Maybe it's neither. Maybe there's just different perspectives and there's so many different options and you get to choose which one makes sense to you. Okay? When you're getting information from people about certain things, understand this. When they're telling you something, they're looking at that situation or whatever it is from a certain perspective. So they've got, let's see, I go with this. So they've got like, oh, wow. We'll call this their eyes, right? So this is their eyes, boom, boom, and they're looking at something this way. Cool? And they see this image, they see a circle here, right? But then if you get someone looking from this angle, and that's their eyes, I apologize for my drawing of eyes, they're horrible, right? If they're looking for this angle, and then they tell you it's not actually a circle, maybe it's a rectangle, sort of like what we were talking about from this, and you're listening to both of them and you're like, which one's right, which one's right? It's not that anyone's right or wrong, it's just that they're sharing their opinion of what is true for them from their perspective. So anything that you are ever told, please never just agree with it at the start, whether it's me telling you, whether it's your parents telling you, whether it's your teachers, doesn't matter. Allow it to let you to think. That is the biggest gift that you have, the ability to think and comprehend things and be like, question everything. Everyone says this is the way it is. But is it? Could it be something else? And that's where you start to really form your own opinions and your own beliefs and start developing yourself as a person. So have a think about that. And what I want you to do, if you comment below, this would be brilliant, or if you want to share it with me, if you're in my classes, share this with me later on, is I want you to have a look at something that maybe you're told by a person and you believed it. Maybe it's something that your teachers tell you or told you at school. And I want you to have a think about it and just question, could it mean something else? Could there be another way to look at this? Could it maybe be a circle rather than a rectangle? Could it maybe be something completely different? Could it be hollow there, right? Like, could you put stuff inside it? Like, what else could it mean, the thing that you're being taught? So if you're taught something at school or your parents are telling you something at home or you're watching something on TV and it's making these claims, this is the way it is, I want you to sit back and think, could it be something else? What's another way that I could look at this, which would give it a different meaning, which would make it seem true, but in a different way? I hope this makes sense, and I hope there's a little bit of something in there that'll get you thinking. The idea of this is purely to get you thinking. If you're a little bit confused, good. Being confused is really, really good. When you're confused, you're about to learn something, but stay with it. Keep thinking through it. Keep thinking through it. Keep feeling it. And you're going to come up with some new distinctions, which are really, really important for you mentally. All right? So have a think about that stuff. Let me know what you're thinking on that one. Share your story. If there's something you've been told and maybe you found that there's a different perspective or you think that there's a different option or a different way to do things, share it with me. I'd love to hear. All right? I think that's it for now. Any questions, post them below, let me know, and I'll do my best to get back to you as soon as possible. Cheers, guys.